the King of Kings.
Welcome to another episode of the King's Couch Podcast Show. I'm your host, Sulo King, and today we have a very special Zoom exclusive interview with an old friend of mine that goes back to the beginning of everything for me, pretty much. The one and only Richie Norton. He's an award-winning author and serial entrepreneur, and I'll let him explain what that all entails because it's hard to keep up with this guy. He's an executive coach to CEOs, so business consultant. He's a jack of all trades. We met through music at an all ages club eons ago in the 90s. He had a band with his brother, or was it brothers?
No, just my brother, and then
just your brother. Yeah. And I still talk to your brother, by the way, Eric.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we actually ran into each other at a punk rock show, so go figure.
Dude,
punk and drum show last year.
No way, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I know you're saying nice things about me here, but I just want to say you are the man. I remember doing these shows, being on stage at Soma. I remember main stage, you like running around, videoing us, making these edits, and back then I don't think people can even realize unless they were there then, like that wasn't a normal thing to do. It was very hard to do. It wasn't something people even really thought of. Like getting stuff on video and putting it on a VHS was like, it just wasn't something people did in that way. And you really documented an era. Fortunately, it seems like it's coming back in a new way, you know, and it's in its own way now. It's kind of weird that the 90s are here again in a wonderful way. But doing it back then, you were literally a pioneer. And I am forever grateful for you for just, I don't know, making us feel cool and special and videoing us, but also documenting that time, you know, in our lives and in so many people's lives, dude. Like, you're ahead of your time, bro. Grateful for you.
I had the plug. My mother enrolled me in it's a public school called the School of Creative and Performing Arts out here in San Diego, where you used to live. You know, how long have you been in Oahu now?
A little over 20 years now. Yeah,
okay,
crazy.
Yeah,
huh?
So you left real early on. So that's currently where he's broadcasting from is in Oahu. What part of Oahu are you in?
I live on the North Shore, so over by Sunset Beach. Yeah.
Well, when I decided to island hop, because my mom's got a property out in Kauai, I'll come visit.
There you go.
Or take me. She's got an epic place in Anahola. It's on an energy vortex, really cool. But going back to the 90s again, you know, that was a really epic time. I got enrolled to the School of Creative and Performing Arts in the freshman year of high school. And I was told I had a year, you know, mandatory. I had to stay there. And if I didn't like it, I can go to UC High with all my friends. But day one, you know, I'll never forget the woman that first came up to me. She's like, "Hey, you're new here. My name's Helen. Can I show you around?" And I was blown away because growing up with a weird name and being, you know, a loner, artistic, you know, wannabe musician at the time, like trying to figure things out, like it was just difficult to really fit in. You know, you get picked on a lot. And then as you get older, the tables turn. Oh, Sulo, that's a really cool name. You know, and then
it's true.
I fell in love with the arts. All our extracurricular activities were arts based. There was no school team, so no jocks I had to run interference through, you know, and I got to focus on photography, 35 millimeter black and white photography, video production, which hence goes back to what you were commenting on. Why I had access to all that gear, because there was a school-based TV show called K-Arts. In fact, to this day, I am still friends with my video production teacher.
Wow.
Mr. Neil Rothschild. And
that's amazing.
Like last year, he came out to my birthday dinner.
Wow.
Grand opening party for my recording studio. Like, I'm still friends with a lot of people from high school. We all look out for each other like one big family. And that is a rarity.
That is rare.
This day and age.
And that is rare.
That you and I have, you know, powers of social media reconnected. And running into your brother last year and seeing how happy he is with his family, and he loves to travel and, you know, makes a lot of cool reels that make me envious half the time. I wish I could be there, but I love it. But especially, I just want to say, you know, I'm so proud of like the path you chose and what you're doing with your life. And it's so inspiring to me because I feel like the synergy that we had back then, because you were one of the few bands to actually have the courtesy to give me a really meaningful shout out in your liner notes in your Best Buy CD. And when I say Best Buy, kids, I don't mean the store.
No.
I mean the name of the band.
That was the band.
And was your brother on drums, right?
Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah.
play guitar and sang. We all sang, but and then Chris Carr plays bass, and then Eric on the drums. So
Do you still have that footage?
I do. It's in storage, as far as I understand. And I just all the time I'm thinking I need to figure out how to make this digital. I know there's easy ways to do it now, but we haven't. But we need to.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we still have. Maybe it's been corrupted. Who knows? You know, you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But we've saved all that stuff, all those
That's
tapes, all
great.
those things. I mean, as much as we could. You know,
I
like
had a 2 camera crew too, I think, for that shoot. I edited like a series of songs for you. I even had the early CGI animations. You did
wow.
the
Yes, yes. It was
Bob Marley cover, I think,
so good.
or one of those
Oh
covers. What was
no,
it?
no, you're talking
Don't
about
worry, be happy, something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I had the
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
smiley face bounce around the screen.
Yeah, Bobby McFerrin. Yeah. We had so much fun. That was kind of our thing too, is we wanted to, because the punk scene, the pop punk scene, it can be whatever you want it to be. A lot of the bands were pretty dark. Some of them were really, really funny, you know, and we just kind of wanted to just be happy, you know. So
We
we're
did like
bouncing around, you know.
a really cool version of punk and really stood out to me. And that's why I gravitated towards that because, with punk rock, like that's the first form of music besides maybe the 50s that really stood out to me. But when you're a kid and you're going through all this teenage angst, it made perfect sense to me. I heard the song Minor Threat, shaved my head, wanted to be like Ian MacKaye, had long hair like yourself. And I was a bonehead back then.
Yeah,
And
man.
back then you're following around all the trends of what your friends are doing at the same time. And I started getting the Germs and Sex Pistols, and I wanted to be like Darby Crash, like, and people still make references to this day because now I've had a band, Authentic Sellout, for 17 years. And
Wow.
people will come up and be like, you like the Germs, you like this band, you like that band. I was like, how do you know?
They
I
can
can
hear
hear
it.
it in your voice.
Yeah, that's cool.
But what I like to do with all my interviewees is I like to go back to the beginning and I want to hear your life story summarized on what influenced you to get into your craft. So let's talk about, what influenced you to become a musician artistically, what you were into. Was it like your parents that influenced you? Was it you just being trapped in your room trying to figure out things on your own? Like, how did you get to where you're at now? So let's start with where we met. But before that, you growing up.
This is actually, it's actually really fun and really cool because I've been on a number of different shows, but we never talk about, I don't know, like early childhood or or music or the punk scene. It's always about
You
other
think
things.
differently, man.
But
Welcome
it
to
is,
the couch.
thank you. I appreciate it. I will say this, like my experience with music permeates every single thing I do today. And I am heavily involved in entrepreneurship and creating things and making things and talking and speaking and writing. And when I really think about it, people say, well, where did it come from? Where did you do this? How'd you learn it? And I go, I mean, if you really think about it, every day for hours playing music, writing, not just playing music, not learning how to read music, not learning how to play other people's songs necessarily, although we do that sometimes because that's fun too, but literally sitting down, creating something that never existed when you're a teenager, and then performing it for an audience, getting feedback from the audience. I think about this now, like as like old people now looking back on it, that kind of experience, it's hard to learn the lessons that we get from doing that. You can go straight into the idea of you're creating something new, you're trying to find an audience to listen to it. You now get into, I don't know, making merch, and the whole thing is one big art show, and then it can turn into money if you want to. But at the end of the day, we're just doing it because it was fun.
It's a great form of
You're just doing it for fun.
letting out your aggression, letting out your emotions, but connecting with people.
You're letting it all out. You're creating stuff. It's a vibe. When you look back on it and go, oh, and I learned all these lessons, that is true. But that wasn't the point. Maybe my parents had that in mind. I don't know. When they gave me a guitar, I was lucky to have parents that gave me like some guitar for my birthday or Christmas or something. My brother John's like, at some point, I think every artist has to realize that wherever they got that guitar from, wherever they got those drums from, wherever they got that thing from, whether they earned the money on their own or they got it or they borrowed it, you can't learn it without those instruments. They have to come from somewhere, right? So we're very lucky to have those. But now when I do business and entrepreneurship and other kind of stuff like that, in my head, I really am just playing music. I go, oh, this piece should be over here. This piece should be over here. These things come together here. It actually, in my own experience, this isn't some weird scientific thing, but in my own experience, the art of making music, the habit of doing it, the ability to kind of do something that hasn't been done before is a skill. And it's something you can either innately have or something you can learn, but it definitely has applied in all the different areas of my life. So
I can resonate with that completely. When I had my recording studio that I owned for 7 years, I used to throw these annual parties to like give back to the community. Thank you for another year of keeping our doors open. And it started off like invite only for the grand opening, and then there was so much like need for it to make it publicly. In fact, Tim Piles on 91X, he called me out. He's like, "Is this open to the public?" I was like, "I guess it is now." But because of that, it attracted this older lawyer type woman, probably in her mid 40s, maybe early 50s. She had all this musical ideas in her head and wanted to transcribe them and have someone compose her ideas. So what my business partner, was our chief engineer, did, said, "You know what? I'm not just going to compose all this for you. You're going to sing on every song." And she's like, "I've never sang before in my entire life." And each song kind of had a different little bit of a feel to it, kind of a southerny, rock type vibe. And she was killer, man. And I even looked at her, I was like, I just produced bands. And I got to tell you, for a first timer, that is amazing. That is the power of starting something stupid.
There you go.
Yeah. And what I meant by that pun was, that's the Audible version of Richie's book. I'm listening to The Art of Starting Something. Is it The Art?
No, you got it right. You got it right.
Oh,
the power of starting something stupid.
And
I like
so inspiring. And the fact that I'm a life coach. I studied in a college.
Oh, cool.
Applied approaches, because traditional methods don't resonate with me, and I like to connect with my patients. I try to put myself in their shoes, and hearing your life story, talking about how you had to, I don't want to hit any sensitive subjects, but losing a child and just going through that whole journey, just like everything that I've listened to so far in that book is just motivating and inspiring me, because this year's been rough for me. I've lost a lot of people. The entertainment industry is toxic, and I'm not only just losing people in my circle, but bands parents, former band members, bands when I was like teenager, 20s, and I'm people from high school at the same time. I'm having to life coach them and then maintain my own sanity on top of things.
Yeah.
It's tough.
No, it's life is
a
really
tough year
hard.
so far.
It's so hard. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it is crazy.
But your book has been picking my head up every time I listen to it.
Thanks, brother.
Richie is kind enough to help me, coach me on how to write my own book. It's called The Dating Guide for Musicians. The Struggle is Real. And it started off as a self-memoir. And then I thought, I put a plug on it when I was in a relationship, like the most impactful one of my life, for 4 years. And when we broke up, and we still work together and are still friends. Hope she's not behind me right now, because I am at work, but that was a joke. But yeah, she's a beautiful, talented, wonderful woman, and we share animals together. And she is one of the most impactful people, besides like my mother, as far as females go, in my life. And this book I'm writing is not just a self-memoir, it's a reflection of looking back in my former life from a healthier perspective at the same time. And it's hard being an artist and finding someone that can just let you be you. You know what I mean? And not try to change who you are as an individual.
Mm. That's true. And I think that's kind of the point, is that there's no just allowing someone to let you. That's the whole point, is just you just be it.
That's what I love
Right?
about you. You have not changed a bit. Like
I mean, that's the
you are
punk
still
rock
that
spirit.
positive, energetic teenager. I remember, and I think I haven't seen you since I was probably 22 years old. Back when I was booking Brick by Brick. You know, I think you. I remember your brother definitely came to a few of the shows I was doing back then, because I started running that place when I was started working there in 2001. And the only real true Soma band from our era that I got a book right before they broke up was Notice.
Oh, cool.
You know, I mean, now I'm working with Agent 51 and
I love them.
Pivot occasionally, but
Yeah.
to get Notice in there, which is one of my favorite local bands from that era, besides like you guys and a handful of others, really impactful for me.
Yeah.
I gotta
Dude,
hear that.
you have a really good memory. I just gotta say that. And you're really good at keeping relationships going for long periods of time. And it's something that, you and I, we're not like old people, but maybe we are old people compared to the young
We're
people. But
old souls.
we live at a time now where we are some of the last, not like us, but our generation are some of the last people to understand what a cassette tape was, what a VHS was, that we lived in a world where the internet did not exist, that we didn't even necessarily know what email was until we were like late, maybe in high school. This generation, there's a gap between the old world and the new world which we are in now. And there's a small segment of people in like that were born in the 80s that see both sides of this. This is a real thing.
Yeah, no, it's totally real. For example, from 2002 to 2010, I ran the booking for Brick by Brick, ran a couple other venues or one other venue, and did shows at other venues. I still have Manila press kits from some
Hmm.
of the famous bands I never booked because like, the all ages market, they won't work, or maybe later. And then, Evanescence was one of the bands I booked, Zach Brown band, stuff like that. But you can see the evolution, and I still remember it. I got the job there because I had heard of a thing called mp3.com. Then people are like, oh, you should get on MySpace. I was like, what's that? And they're like, it's like Friendster. I was like, isn't that the hot or not thing? They're like, no, like you can find bands on there. And they used
Cool.
to have a search radius. You can enter in the zip code and, up to like a whatever mile range around you. And I used to hunt bands endlessly. And then they took that feature away. Then Facebook, Instagram, where we're at now. So completely. And these kids are so desensitized by this. In fact, our last album cover, Jimbo Phillips from Santa Cruz Skateboards designed it. His father did the talking head
Cool.
insignia.
Rad.
He nailed it. It's us getting sucked into the vortex, and the problems start with this, and that was spawned by I think we were opening for like Dead Kennedys or someone rad, sold out show, right in the crowd, singing into someone's face, and the kid was stuck on his phone doing whatever, so engaged, didn't notice I was right there until I went like this, tapped him on the back, and he's like, "Oh wow, cool, the singer's in my face." I'm like, was so fixated afterwards, walking around noticing everyone was on their phone, that I wrote a song about it called Technology, which was a single off our last record. Even had my buddy Marcos, the guitar player from POD, produce the song. And all
Interesting.
his guys,
Yeah. No,
mastering
that's
engineers.
that's cool. That's really cool. I mean, technology does change things. I can share a little bit of my story and stuff, but I'll just say this
Please
first. Like,
do. I mean,
I
that's
will, I
here.
will. I really do believe that our future can be way bigger and way better than our past. I really do. I believe personally that our best days are ahead of us. If it's not one thing or another, it's another thing in the past or not. You know what I mean? That's going to distract us from what's most important. And to be honest, I can't imagine a better time. Honestly, me personally, I'm not speaking for everyone because the world is crazy and there's things happening that are crazy everywhere. But like in general, what better time to live than now? Like there's so many wonderful things happening and I'm just grateful for that. But after I left San Diego, I moved to Brazil. I was there for a couple of years there as a missionary. Then I moved to Hawaii and I've been here ever since. I did do some MBA stuff in Arizona for a little bit. So I've been all over the place. And I know we connected on music, so we can talk about that, but just separately
Talk
from
about
that,
whatever you
like
want to talk about, Rich.
I'll just say this, like in like, and I'll say it, I'll try and summarize it, but we had a brother, my wife's brother lived on and off with us for about 5 years, and he passed away in his sleep at 21. And when that happened, I was newly married, and I was like, we at this time newly married, I guess is relative, but we still we were married. It had been at least 5 years. We had a couple kids at this time, and those kids loved their uncle so much. And when he died, it really changed the way we thought about the future, because we thought, just like every traditional person in the States thinks, or at least they used to think, one day you're going to grow old and you're going to be able to live the life you want to live. It's just not true.
Right.
That you're always going to like be healthy, that you're going to be able to retire at 65 and live your life. And we learned that that wasn't true for him. And then as I started like researching this book for The Power, I started writing something stupid. I started realizing that's not true for actually maybe a lot of people, if not most people. That's not true. And we had a son named Gavin after my brother-in-law Gavin, that had passed away. And he brought us so much joy in our lives, but he got this cough. We took him to the hospital. They said nothing was wrong with him. Eventually, we find out there was something wrong with him. He had caught something called pertussis.
How old was he, Richie?
He passed away at 10 weeks almost. So he was,
Oh my
almost,
God. Wow.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you just realize that. I'll tell you this. It sucks. It sucks. The whole thing sucks. But like, what I meant to say is, it is such a luxury to have little problems. Oh no, I missed an email. Oh no, I'm late for something. Oh no, there's traffic. Like those kind of problems are such a luxury to have when you put it and you kind of zoom out and you look at the big picture and you go, some people have real problems where really bad things are happening. I learned to stop as best I can, stop judging, do my best, love others right now, live my best life, because we don't know how much time we have. Someone asked, what did you learn from your brother-in-law and your son passing away? And I came up with this thing that I call Gavin's Law, which is live to start, start to live. Because when you live to start, those ideas that are pressing on your mind, you really will start living. So many people are walking around like zombies. But at the same time, they're receiving ideas in their mind. They're coming up with stuff. They're just putting them aside, saying it's not for me. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough money. It's not for me. It's for somebody else. And they die a little bit inside every time, like a chicken inside of a little egg that doesn't crack. Like if you had, I mean, ask yourself, if you had no pride, negative pride, if you had no fear, if you had no like quote unquote procrastination, what could you do? Who would you be? Like, you would crack out of that shell. You'd be someone different. You'd be probably your best self, right? Anyways, at some point in time, we met this wonderful family and met this mom needed help with her kids. And we said, yeah, we'll watch them. And long story short, basically she didn't come back. It was an awkward situation. Child Protective Services came over. It was 1-year-old twins and a 7-year-old girl. And we said, what's gonna happen with these kids? No one knows where the mom is, etc. And they said, well, we're putting them in foster care, of course, and we're not really sure where they're gonna go. And by the way, the system's wild. Nobody wants to take 3 kids at the same time. And so they're probably all going to get split up and just sleep in our offices until we figure it out. And my wife and I are like, I mean, can we would love to, you know what I mean? Like help out and take care of them. And at the end of the day, we figured something out with CPS. They called it kinship placement. They said because the mother had put them in your care, that they legally, I don't understand how it all works. They could consider it a kinship placement. We couldn't get paid. There was no like payment thing that foster people get paid for, whatever. So here's the whole point. We had 4 kids, 1 passed away. And then basically after a period of time, we now then went from 3 kids to 6.
Whoa.
6 kids
A Brady
overnight.
bunch.
That's true.
Good.
I didn't think about that. And we love these children. It is the most wonderful experience of our lives. Like life is good. After a couple years, the mom got her act together, whatever that looks like. They went back to her. That was also hard and for different reasons, but happy
So yeah, I had a foster
in
brother.
other ways. Yeah, you okay. You were?
No, I had a foster brother
You had yeah, the whole thing's
for a couple
crazy.
years.
And the reason I share these little stories like this because all the stuff we do, all the feelings we create, all the music that we make, all this stuff, like I've learned that if you sacrifice what you love for success, you get neither. And it's not just in the music industry of people sacrificing everything to try and get something else, and then they look back and they go, "What did I do with my life?" Like, there's nothing sadder than a rich, famous person that is sad about their life. Like,
I've met many.
what is sadder than that? You got everything you want, and you go, "Oh, we just realized it wasn't about the money or the fame, was it? It was not. It was about people, and it was about love at the end of the day." A little bit later, my wife got hit. A little bit later, my wife had a stroke, and she lost her memory.
I remember hearing you
And
talk about this.
yeah, and she got it back. And a little later, what I was gonna say is my son got hit by a car. He should be dead. Like, there's just a series of things that happened. And I was like, does God hate me? Like, what's going on? And then I just thought, you know what? I was kind of walking on the beach thinking, I was just in my head, I was just like, just love God unconditionally. Because every time we blame God, we take all the power away from any ability we have, including our faith, to do something about it. Just love God unconditionally, go to work and do the things you can do. And this has helped me through all my ups and downs and all the things. Because like you, I have had too many friends and family have terrible problems through substance abuse, even death, alcohol abuse, like all physical,
Honestly,
like
take a
dude,
bullet for someone and die.
it's that's so awful. Like life is so crazy. But I'll give you this perspective. I interviewed hundreds of people in retirement or approaching retirement, and they've all had crazy experiences. You can imagine these people, a lot of the ones that are older, they've seen many wars, like they've seen all kinds of stuff. And if you ask them about, their life and what they regretted, they'll say something like this. They'll say they had this idea way back when they were young. And the ones that are quote unquote successful, they did something about it. And they either worked or it didn't, but at least they didn't regret it. But the ones that didn't feel as successful or kind of regretted it, they always said something like this. I wish I had more time. I told myself I wish I had more education, more experience, more money, like we were talking about earlier, only to find out that when I got here to this point where I really wanted to do this thing, I still need more time, more education, more experience, more money. And oh, by the way, technology has changed. People have changed. Like, it's next level.
Yeah.
It's next level. And so I've learned to think, and it sounds kind of morbid. I imagine that every day I have a possibility that something tragic could happen, an accident, and I might not be here anymore. And because of that, I think I should do my best today to tell people that I love them and do the best work that I can and be as happy as I can. At the same time, I have experienced tons of grief, as many people listening to this have. And I've learned that grief is it's a tunnel, not a cave. Like, it's okay to just hang out and relax, because what happens is you beat yourself up. You know what I mean? For feeling bad, or you beat yourself up for feeling good when bad things are happening. But I think the point isn't to move on. These things are part of us. They become part of us. It's hard to forget, right? It's about assigning meaning to the thing that happened. And if you can assign positive meaning to the thing that happened, you can move forward and become better and not bitter.
Right.
And that's been my experience and the experience of many other people. But ultimately, dude, like, I'm with you, man.
It's
Life
tough.
is so crazy.
I had a nickel for every time I had something going on, whether, making a club money, or I could have had a toy line for Billy Idol, including my own. And then
What? That'd have been amazing.
yeah, it would have been amazing.
Crazy.
If the owner didn't get greedy, because we liked the Metalocalypse series, and then he started embezzling company funds, right as we were expanding from Jersey, from the East Coast to the West Coast. And then I was like, we got to go the music route, got to go the music route. Enough of the comic book stuff. Now you got Cartoon Network in your back pocket. Frivolousness. I've seen it happen a million times. And, I have this vast network. I do nothing with half the time, other than do what I'm doing now, like interviewing guests for
Yeah,
fun
man.
and whatnot.
It's so hard. Everyone has weird stuff going on, dude. But yeah, I just really think that this idea of the power of starting something stupid, like taking the idea that's pressing on your mind and doing something with it now and not later, is one of the keys to feeling happy and productive.
And I gotta tell you, like, how many times I've done something that people have called stupid. Like, people laugh, my own friends laugh in my face. You'll never open up a recording studio. You'll never do
Mm.
this. And I was like, oh yeah. People said I would never run a nightclub, and I did that at age 22. No one succeeded that. And then my own bandmate, when he entered back in the band because he got a little power trippy owning his own business. I love him to death, but uh, he walked into my studio and he looks at me and he's like, I was not expecting this. And back in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, well, who got the last laugh now? You know what I mean? But I was like, look, you can say what you want, call me a visionary, you can praise me, or you can call me crazy and say that'll never happen. But that's not gonna stop me because
Oh my
I
gosh.
look at my mother, and this is why I'm gonna make a reference about my mother. She inspired me to think this way. She inspired me to have an entrepreneurial heart. I watched her take care of me and my sister growing up while my father was battling alcoholism. Never judged my father for his addictions and his misfortunes and mistakes. In fact, I saw a little bit about why the King side of my name has that, alcoholism in our gene. Running nightclubs, you get free drinks, this and that. And
Mm.
I had some moments where I had to pump the brakes and stop myself and be like, you know what? I'm getting a little too out of control, literally drunk with power right now. And
Mm.
I always have my mentors looking up to me. In fact, my solo project that I've been posting about is dedicated to my mentor that died of diabetes at age 49 in 2012, and his ashes, in the 3 urns that were given out. Um, my boss, who used to own Brick by Brick and then sold it, when I had my studio, said, you know what? Vinny's ashes are collecting dust here. All his friends are coming through your doors. They belong with you.
Oh
And
my gosh.
when I closed my studio, offered them back, and he's like, "No, just take them. That's the reason why we met. He belongs with you." And every morning, when I'm walking into the kitchen, that little bar top divider, I have like my little sanctuary for all my fallen people, like little gemstones, little spiritual vortex to protect everyone. Because my mother's very spiritual and raised me with that mindset to be accepting of all religions and people. All this. Like, she's a wonderful lady. And in fact, this office I'm sitting in, told you guys that don't know, is the reason why I'm a health and wellness coach, because she's the executive director. And like, she's a rock star in her own light. Like, she is a pivotal person for integrative medicine in San Diego, and got the Scripps Integrative Medical Center started. She went from working as an RN in the ICU for Scripps for pretty much like half her life, and got turned on to energy healing, healing touch, which was formulated by a nurse in the early 90s, to where she's at now. And, I'm very proud of that.
Wow.
It's an honor to work for her.
Dude, that's awesome.
But when people call me a mama's boy, I just hear that.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're a real mama's boy. No one can say that you don't love your mom, but she sounds awesome, dude. And I think it's so cool, how much how close you guys are, and also like all the cool things she's done for you, and that you recognize it. I mean, I can't imagine her being more proud, of a son.
She's
That's
a
really cool,
first
man.
generation immigrant,
Mm,
and very overprotective because she's a nurse by
mm.
training in heart. So, I mean, sometimes we butt heads and don't always see eye to eye on things, but in the end, unconditionally, we both love each other. We will always support each other and be there for one another. And that's just how our family is.
That's cool, dude. We need more families that share and love like that, dude. That's
Don't get me
awesome.
started on my sister, Dr. King. She's the first doctor in our immediate family. She's a
Oh my
PhD in
gosh.
sociology, criminology. She's out at MSU in Mississippi,
Mm,
and it's kind of tough connecting with her sometimes because it's
yeah.
like she's 3 years younger than me and acts 10 years older than me. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Dude, you're awesome, brother.
How are
Thanks for
you?
yeah, dude, thanks for having me on. Happy to answer any other questions or whatever. Like, I have to go in a second, but I just wanted
No
to let
worries.
you know that, dude, I do appreciate you and I'm so grateful for this. I've done a lot of podcasts, but I've never done one where it's just so like I don't know, we're just chatting. It's
That's
kind of
pretty
cool, man.
organic. I actually
I
have a
like it.
background in journalism, Rich.
I love it. I love it.
I used to work for a couple publications while I was doing brick by brick, and he used to do CD reviews, and I was very honest but funny at the same time. I was like, oh no, another stereotypical Orange County band. My
Yeah.
big praise was interviewing Cannibal Corpse, the singer George,
Wow.
and I didn't know anything about them other than their music. I had one night to put this together. Looked at all the other interviews I could find back in the internet days in 2002 or three,
Hmm.
and it was for I think Modern Fix or No Cover magazine. I still have a copy in storage somewhere, a few actually, and he praised me after that. When I at the I had to have it on a tape recorder so I could remember everything, and I still have that tape too, which is rad.
That's wild.
And he was just like, man, that was one of the funnest interviews I've done. He's like, you asked such like not standard questions. He's like, what made
Hmm.
you think that way? I was like, I looked at what everyone did, and I like to do things differently. Think outside.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get something else out of these guys. I
And
love that.
that's the beauty part about this show. The show was
Yeah.
inspired by my friend who I'm doing the documentary for called Change of Heart, who had a heart transplant, ironically, on my birthday, at old days of the year in
Wow.
2021 at age 55. And I was so taken back. The producer and me was like, have you ever done a podcast interview? And then the podcast and all the charitable work I did for him, raising him money, turned into, I get you want to write a book, but like we got to capture this as a documentary. You grew up with Donald Logue, this actor in El Centro. You used to like in El Centro, the white man is the minority, and you used to stand up for him. And this is so empowering. So he asked Donald on my behalf. I was like, we need to have him narrate this. So, it's I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm trying to write this book at the same time.
You
Um,
got a lot of things going on, dude.
just like you, like I really look up to what you're doing. And before we go, I really want to just have you answer how you got into the realm of best-selling author, super business consultant, motivational speaker, whatever you want to label yourself as. And I'm
When I
serious.
was uh when I was 16 years old, I told my dad that I wanted to make money. And he said, "You don't want a job." He says, "You're a kid. You should go to school, have fun with your friends, get good grades, but you're going to be working your whole life for money." And I know that is very bizarre for a dad to say for anywhere, but he was an entrepreneur himself. And I said, "Okay, cool, dad, but I still want to make money." I want to buy things, I want to do things, I want to go places. And he said, "Go to El Centro."
Wow, going back to El Centro. Well,
He said,
that's
he said,
serendipitous.
"Go to El Centro." And he said, "Find the watermelon farmers
Huh.
and ask the watermelon farmers if they have any watermelons that they couldn't sell or don't want to sell or have to, whatever, um, to the grocery stores that they couldn't get to them. Not because they were rotten or weird or something like that, but because they were, I don't know how my dad knew this stuff, but I guess they can't sell watermelons that are irregular sized
Huh.
to traditional markets because they have to be a certain size and look a certain shape, or they just want the ones that sell the best or whatever. They have their standards. So Eric and I went, my brother, and we took our family van, which is also our band van, took out all the seats in the back. It's just me and him in the front. And we had a little bit of cash, and we bought as many watermelons as we could with the little money that we had, filled up the van full of watermelons like it was low ride, dude. Those things are heavy, right? And we drive 3 hours back home, and it was the summertime, and we sold them on the 4th of July. And we made more money selling watermelons on the 4th of July in one day than we would have made working the entire summer.
Oh my God. Wow.
And it wasn't about money. What my dad taught me was how to think, how to not trade time for money. And it is that, and obviously a tons of other experiences that have happened that led me to start all kinds of businesses. I'm a social entrepreneur, so I actually go to a lot of foreign countries and help them start businesses. I do this, and people ask how and why and etc. And for me, it's always been about freedom, self-reliance through self-employment. That's what it's always been about. And how do you work here? Because when I lived in Brazil, I saw tons of poverty. Like, how do you get out of poverty? It's generational. It's a major, 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 major thing in the world. And I'm like, I want to help in that space. So then people started asking more questions. That's when I started writing books about it. So I wasn't planning on like, I'm going to be an author and write a book. Like, it was more like I'm doing things. People are asking me questions. I might as well write about it. Then when I wrote about it, people then say, oh, I read your book. I'm doing this. They have more questions. So that got me into more like teaching and coaching and consulting, and then also building out entire businesses based on what these people are doing. So someone would say, I want to create this physical product. I want to do this thing. I want whatever. And I'd say, I guess I could do all the parts that are hard that you don't want to do. So you can just focus on selling. So I started a company called Product, products you're proud of. And we make, package, warehouse, ship, fulfill hundreds of custom unique products for small entrepreneurs.
Really?
Yep.
We need
And
to talk about that.
yeah, I know. This has led to me traveling the world, working with cool people, having a lot of fun, doing it on my own time, and also making actually significant dents in the industries where these people thrive, and what they're trying to make happen. Because for me, it's not about money. It's about, honestly, freedom of time. That's why I wrote my last book is actually called Anti-Time Management. And the whole point is how to get your
I
time back.
almost got that one, but the title of Power Starting
Power
Something
is solid.
It got me because that's
yeah.
exactly how it started everything.
No, anti-time management. So
principle.
What happens is people will read The Power of Starting Something Stupid, and it's all about, like time and freedom and money. But I learned that a lot of people start businesses, and because they're coming from an employee or executive or even CEO background, they start becoming managers unto themselves. So in other words, they start a company to get their time back, but they run it in a way that takes all their time away. So anti-time management was like, hold on, guys, like, don't run this like an employee, man. Run it like an architect. Architects don't build buildings, they draw them. Run it like a general contractor. They don't pick up hammers unless they want to. So we help people literally go, if the real goal of the business is to have free time, let's start with free time and then build a business around that. It's like creating a castle and then a moat around it. A lot of people are getting in the moat and never living in the castle. This is the opposite of the way it should be if you're trying to do stuff for life and not just for money. As we talked about earlier, some of the saddest and even spiritually broke people are the most rich and the famous, which is extremely sad and extremely real. And I can say that solidly because I coach them. They tell me their stories. You know what I mean? I'm like, I've heard it. You know what I mean? It's not just in the
Every time
news.
I wore like a TS the Well shirt, even the most random musicians don't even play punk music would sit down and start talking to me and have a story about the singer, and then that would lead to I'll just use one reference. Cherry Poppin' Daddies was like, Sulo, best advice I can give you if your band ever gets picked up, don't pitch your friend's band. You've heard of Real Big Fish, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, we're an example why we're known for Zoot Suit Riot, and nobody realizes we're actually a multi-genre rock band, not just some swing band. I was like, wow. I was not expecting that, but exactly what you're saying. Some of them, especially the actors that are actually musicians, not trying to be musicians, but those types too. They've told me some horror stories like, you know what, I can't live a normal life anymore. I can't go outside without paparazzi trying to hound me.
It's a whole thing.
You know,
you have the most interesting frame of references that I've never heard before, by the way. It's very, very, very interesting. But that the concept is, if you know what the dream is, work from the dream, not endlessly toward it.
Right.
People will say, I have this dream, so they'll set a goal. And they think the goal is the end. Goals are not ends, goals are means. If you have a goal from experience, that's a task. A goal outside experience is growth. But once you decide who you want to be, then you know what to do. The habits arrange themselves organically and naturally. as opposed to some like, I don't know, some weird game plan that actually doesn't pan out. And you can think about it like this. Think about who you were 10 years ago. You were a different person. We all were, right? The collective us. You were a different person, not just in age, but like you lived in a different place probably. You're probably making different money. You had different concerns. You probably don't even want the goals that you had 10 years ago today.
Oh,
And the
completely.
challenge,
Yeah.
right? And the challenge is we are setting goals for, I don't know, 10 years
10 years,
from
you gotta
now.
expect me sitting in this chair as a helper.
I was actually,
Differently.
yes, but we don't want the goals that we think we want in 10 years. So if you have them now, the goal is not to get them 10 years from now. The idea is to identify with that thing and live from it immediately. And that way you can live theoretically multiple lives. Instead of waiting for the life you want, you're living it now. And then you find out you don't actually like that thing. Like I've met so many people that want to become teachers in a college and they finally get to a university and they realize there's all these university politics and they don't want to do it anymore. And so they bounce. You know, if that was your dream to become a university professor and you waited and worked for decades to get that designation, that's a hard fall when you realize you don't want to be there anymore.
Well, luckily my sister hasn't fallen flat, but she switched her major like 5 times.
These things aren't right or wrong. Like everybody's gonna do it a different way, and we're all gonna navigate it, and we're all gonna learn, and we're all gonna look back and wish. I'm just saying it is proven over and over and over again. If it's something you really want to do in the future, you work from that future thought, not towards it.
I always say, like, I went from daydreamer to living out those daydreams. When I'm like, telling old war stories or whatever, like, how did you do it? Because when I went to Soma, this goes back to Soma. And by the way, before I forget, Germ and Jerry say hi.
Hey, wow, that's
And
amazing.
have you listened
Legends.
to their Soma podcast, Union and Metro?
I haven't. I think I just recently heard about it. I need to jump
I'm
on
going to
there.
send you the
I bet
link.
that's
They would love to
incredible.
have you on as a guest, by the way.
That'd be
You mentioned
amazing.
that too. I help
Lots
make
of
those
memories.
guests and make those connections. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. Thank
If
you.
I was, a Marvel character or something, I'd be like Network Boy.
You are very connected. You are a connector. Those guys, I mean, they help so many kids' dreams, in the Southern California area come true. Like just literally providing that platform
For
there.
starters,
Like that
I'll send
stage.
you my episode
Unreal.
with them because it talks about like everything you're saying right there. And
Yeah, man.
they let me tell my full story. Like no one else has let me, like everyone
That's
wants to talk
cool.
about the band or this or that. But just like what I'm doing on this platform for you is letting you tell your story. You know what I
That's
mean?
cool, man.
Yeah. But anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry about that.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I do love you, bro. This is like amazing. This is so fun. Thank you.
There's so much that I want to say, and I'm sorry if I'm giddy and excited right now because it's been so long, Richie. Like
Yeah, dude. I
I
know.
talk to your brother more than I get to talk to you,
I know.
and seeing him at that No Effects concert, the Punk and Drublic last year, he noticed me. He was on the top riser,
He did.
and I hear this still low, and I'm looking over, and he's like waving, and I don't recognize him at first. He says, "Oh, me, Eric Norton." And he's like, "Hold on a second." And I just see him like zip down. And then he comes over and he was so stoked to see me, and I was just like, whoa, dude. I was like, it's been so long. And it's different when you're following somebody virtually.
Dude,
And then you see that person.
I know it is
Just like it
crazy.
is right now. I feel like I'm talking to you in person.
It's surreal. I know it is. And dude, Eric is the best. I love my brother so much. But dude, you are a legend. Of course we're excited to see you. You're amazing, bro.
Legend. Oh,
You are a piece of history in our lives even. So I appreciate you, dude.
I'm still honored and to this day that and very thankful for you to let me, like, because I made that offer to a lot of people to shoot them, and you guys were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. It's just like when I had a studio, I was like, I want to record your band, do a single for free. You know how many people took months to get back to me? And I was like, that window is always open. The door's always open. And only one person in the 7 years I had that place took me up on that offer. And that was right before I closed my studio because this woman she wasn't even involved in the band. I had a monthly rehearsal space and I had my office. pigeonholed between all these rooms, and I would hear this haunting voice. And she was just like, they were doing like a side project with the band members from the main band that rented that room. And finally, I was had my door open, and I stopped her. I was like, that's a single if I ever heard one right there. I need
No
to
way.
do that.
No way.
And that was the last project I got to solely produce myself. I never got to hear the finalized product. I ran into a few band members, asked about it, and that never went anywhere. But that's just how I am. Like even when
Yeah,
we
that's cool.
have like an open house, Richie, I had all these different elements. A mixer, open house. We'd have bands playing in the live room, so a concert, and then we record the bands live, and that's how you can be one-on-one, ask the engineer questions, how everything operates in our studio, and then we start getting clients because of that. And it was just there's
love that.
things that I missed. I even made a short, like 2.5 minute video thanking everyone and announcing my public closure for my studio because like the music community in San Diego means everything to
Totally.
me. I mean, the fact that you and I are we've been friends like
It
I don't
is.
know how many years now, 26, 7.
It really is
30.
unique. It is unique and special and super cool, man. I agree. I love it.
Music is, in my opinion, Richie, is one of the highest, if not the most powerful form of energy. It's the one thing that in my this is my theory is that it's the cure to ending all our problems. It's the key to unity, is what I always say.
People can listen to music in any language. You know what I
I
mean?
need to
And
make a shirt that says that.
it's its own
Like
thing.
notes key to unity or something like that.
I dare you.
When the
I
music
love it.
stops, the problems start again.
The
Or
music
sometimes
is the scene.
yeah, but
Yeah, dude. I
well,
love
you
that.
know what? It's just art, music, words. What you do is very powerful. I'm blessed to, have you helping me, taking the time out to coach me in that
Yeah,
sense.
man.
I
Dude,
mean,
I love you, bro. The bringing the music to different, because music is music, it's listened to. But when you bring music to different formats, as you have done and as I have done to books or to business or to relationships, like there's power in that. I don't know why we don't talk more about that, but that is a powerful
let me
thought.
show you something real cool that I have right behind me. This is the only patented device on the market. It's called Nirvana Zen. And I took a consumer product and made it into a treatment service. All because our medical director got introduced to this company and they invited her on the scientific board of advisors. And she's like, Sulo, I know you really want to, you've been talking about, because I started here originally as just a neurotherapist to get my foot in the door, got trained in that, and then slowly started adding all these different, jack of all trades services to what I do,
Cool.
nutritionist, life coach, the whole nine. So this is it. This is Bluetooth and a generating device. It offers vagus nerve stimulation and this white earbud. And these are specially patented formulated earbuds. You can listen to music in both ears. And then, sorry, I had the wrong ear. And then while all you do is listen to music during the treatment for anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, I sit there and teach people how to operate this device if they want to purchase one here. Some people aren't tech savvy. Our demographic is so broad. I mean, we have 103-year-olds sometimes walking around our facility. It's insane.
Whoa.
And if next time you're saying
You need to interview one of those 103-year-olds, bro. That would be amazing.
that would be amazing.
I want to learn from that person.
Next time you do come to San Diego, I have to give you a tour of this facility. It's next.
Yeah, sounds cool, dude.
Doing. And this device is so fascinating. I've seen it with a multitude of different symptoms, ranging from stress.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Helping, regulate your cortisol levels, your energy levels, cognition, focus, ADHD. And anytime I'm stressed out and I have my own personal device at home, I just plug it in. I have a little thing on my patio, a throne I got customized called the thinking throne. And that's where I go out to meditate, write, and just let loose here, shaded because I have a upstairs neighbor and I have this great patio. I have a table out there. I'll write, I'll plug this in and just kind of chill out and just let the music take me away. I use a lot of clinically tested music that's gonna, put you in that parasympathetic state and just relax your mind and take away those problems, take you away from reality. for a little bit. In fact, a lot of yogis, spiritualists that have come through here ask me, can I meditate during this? I was like, this will help enlighten it. And they'll tell me their different experiences. And it's incredible. Like the work that we do, the fact that my mother is an energy healer, that's a whole nother level of dealing with energy is just, it's fascinating. Now I understand why she's so her life's quest until the day she dies. And she'll probably turn into a force ghost, like, a Jedi or something for all I know. Just I'll be talking to her one day and all of a sudden she'll just disappear into her and the clothing will fall on the ground. That's a joke I always make about her. But now I see why she's so all in, and now I'm all in. And now even when I want to open up a new, rehearsal recording studio, multimedia center, I want to have this multifaceted building and be able to offer the wellness in there. I want to be able to take kids that are abused or battling with drugs. I've been doing a lot of thinking this year, Richie, based on everyone that's been, in not just San Diego, LA around me, like dying of different diseases, and a lot of it's induced poor lifestyle choices. And I want to take them and help them out in some capacity.
Yeah. Dude, you got a good brain, man. I like the way you think. You're thinking way outside the box, and just keep making one at a time, brother. I love it.
Thanks, man. I went on a total passion tangent, but
that was a good time. I'm glad you got it there.
But you know what? You inspire me. You just bring that out of me, and for you guys out there, this was a spur of the moment interview. Like, I'm at work right now, and luckily he caught me on a slow day where I don't have patience, and he's just like, hey, you want to do the Zoom interview now? And I was like, looking at my freaking Facebook message, I was like, dude, let's do it.
It was amazing. I'm hard to pin down. I'm like, let's just do it right now. And he's like, he called me. He's like, he called me on. He's like, let's do it right now. I'm like, all right, well, let's go. Here we are.
Yeah. Well, I'm all about time management too, man. So I want to be respectful of your time at the same time.
Love you, bro. Yeah,
and,
dude, you're killing it, man.
We wrap this up. I love to have all my guests just kind of, give a positive affirmation, whether it's a slogan. I'm sure you got a million of those with what you do, or just some advice to anyone out there that wants to be a musician, wants to be an author, wants to live out that fantasy, that childhood dream. Because a lot of people that I come across, especially as a life coach, some people go, I don't have any hobbies, I don't have any passions in life. I was like, and I have to dig real deep to get that out of them. So what would you want to kind of share?
Okay, I'll share this. I'll share the mantra, and I'll also share. Let me share 3 things. Number 1, instead of saying I will, say I am. This is kind of ancient thinking, but it is very true that an acorn becomes an oak tree. If you say I will become an author, you won't. If you say I am an author, you will start behaving like one and doing the things that authors do. I am is more powerful than I will. Second, START. It's an acronym that I created. Serve, think, ask, receive, and trust. If you're trying to figure out what to do first, you start by serving others. You thank them for the opportunity to serve them. You earn the right to ask for help. You then receive the help graciously, and then you trust that person and that process, because purpose comes before process, not process before purpose. Purpose first. Okay. The third one is time. It's an acronym I created for the word time, which is today is my everything. And if you put that all together and like, I am, fill in the blank what you really want to be. Therefore, I will serve, think, ask, receive, and trust others. And I will do it today because today is my everything. That formula, those 3 things together, what could stop you, man? What could stop you?
Well, that was powerful. I love it. You heard it here from Richie Norton himself.
Yeah, dude.
Rich, I gotta tell you, man, this made my day.
Love you, bro.
Right here.
Yeah,
you
same.
said love you, bro, to me probably more times than I can count.
I mean it.
But you have not changed a bit. You are a walking ball of love. You might as well be a walking heart. You know what I mean? And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this, and just all the help you're giving me right now. And I'll send you some things, like the Soma podcast, and some other like resources and cool stuff that we can synergize and talk on later privately.
Look-
But
Looking forward to it.
yeah, let's wrap this up. You heard a amazing message to all you dreamers, believers, whatever. You know, we only live once in this world, and you can go from, like I would say, being daydreamer to living out those daydreams. Never stop believing in yourself. And if you are having a tough time, talk to somebody else that will lift your spirits up, or just listen to some music.
There
I'm
you go.
Sulo King. This is another episode of the King's Couch podcast show. And it's great to have my special guest, Richie Norton, on today. So thank you very much, Richie. And let me say it once. I love you, bro.
Thanks, brother. Love you.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Until next time.
The King of Kings. All hail the King.